I would like to get a slightly different perspective from you about the training scenario. So what is the location of training currently, like the center of excellence that you have for training? And since it is initiated by you from the industry, I'm sure this is going to be very, very value adding for many youth. So what are the locations where people can really go and learn about drones, whether they want to become a pilot or a technician? And second point I would like to know more is, when you talk about application of drones, like in agriculture, mining, surveying, or any other like entertainment, for example, so what kind of training is needed then for that particular sector?
Okay. Currently, we have like 50 plus partnership with different educational institutions, even corporate bodies like Adani and all. So we have 50 plus center of excellence all across India, and so in the cities of Delhi NCR, in Ahmedabad, in Gujarat, we have like 5 centers, in Odisha, in Jharkhand, in Guwahati, I think in the all across India, we have like all of our center of excellence are spread, like equally spread, distributed. So what currently, so it's like we have already started adopting the digital technology. So what do we believe and what we are actually proposing now, we're actually coming up with a e-digital center of excellence. So it's
Okay.
world's first of its kind. Completely on the, it will be developed on the metaverse. So already our platform is under development, and in the meta world you will actually have a complete learning and exposure of the drone. And then once you complete that learning phase, and then you can actually go to any of the nearby center of excellence and finish your practical training.
Okay.
And since we are actually executing a multiple projects, dozens of projects simultaneously all across India. So it's not about only the training and learning in just as a curriculum. You will also get a hands-on experience on our practical live projects. So
Mm.
it's kind of getting a real experience on the ground. And so as part of our curriculum, so whatever the curriculum the government has designed, we absolutely follow that. And in addition to that, we have additional curriculum that is actually helps the students to prepare for the next the upcoming jobs, for prepare them for the the real work they are going to do in the drone industry. So it's all sorted. So it's not about we have already achieved the target. We're still actually looking for more and more partnership. It's what we believe. So it's not a bread and butter earning business for us. What we believe, it's our responsibility. It's our social responsibility. Whatever we are getting from the industry, we need to give it back to the society. Then only we'll go. Then only you can actually expand. And this is what the ecosystem means. And you need to grow it, grow together. So we invite more and more, educational institutes, more and more, philanthropy bodies to be, partner with us, and to take this initiative so nationwide. So we currently we have hardly like 10-20,000 drone pilots in the country. So those were like skilled, and not about, I'm not talking about the active pilots, but we have a requirement of like lakhs of the crores of drone pilots. So because we are going to very rapidly going to adopt the drones in the agriculture. So in agriculture, you can imagine the scale we need the drone pilots. So this is what actually the market size is, and you just can imagine. And that's why we need more and more drone pilots, more and more maybe drone technicians, more like drone designers. So our drone pilot's role, I think, is quite simple. So any 10 plus 2, as per the NSTC regulation, any 10 plus 2 candidate can actually opt for the drone pilot. So even currently, we are actually coming up with CSTRI. We are coming up with a short-term course. It's a 15 days course, so that anybody can want to start the freelancing business in the drone, basically the drone flying and the drone videography.
Yeah.
So they can actually take it off and start their business. So what I believe, and what we believe in the IG drones, it's not necessarily that you will force everybody to know all the nuances of the drones. There are actually different, very different verticals, and there are also very low kind of job, and anybody can actually take it off. It's not necessary that any graduate, any engineers, it is
Right.
expected that always that only engineers will take this job. So it's not what we don't believe in that principle. So drone videography, photography is the the lowest low hanging fruit. Anybody opt for it. And the later stage is though, since we are actually moving toward the Atmanirbhar in the drone, and particularly in the drone manufacturing, so we need a huge workforce, particularly in the drone, particularly the drone engineers who will design the drone and manufacture the drones. So this is a huge challenge. Currently, whatever the resources we are having in the drone industry is not sufficient. The manpower is not trained like up to the industry standard. I'll tell you why. So it's not an Indian problem. It's actually global problem because drone is a completely emerging sector and it's a complete new sector. Nobody has the real idea about what exactly the advanced drone and what kind of resources they need. So the industry and the academia, they are actually closely working together, to come up with that kind of curriculum. And we need at least 1 2 years, and then only we'll have like sufficient engineers will be able to take up this drone journey ahead. So this is a global challenge, but I'm glad that all of like all across India. So because of the like push from the government of India itself and the Prime Minister itself, so and a lot of academia has actually come forward, and they have started actually designing their courses, and they are encouraging their students to actually take up the drone curriculums and join the drone industry.
Yeah.
And I have so a few days back I have actually mentioned, so we are still lagging in the manufacturing because we don't have that kind of ecosystem, the manufacturing ecosystem in India. But somehow we have started. If we were started like 10 years back, we could have actually have now the matured ecosystem. But now, since we have started now, we can actually expect 5 years or maybe 10 years down the line, what the Prime Minister is saying, by 2030 we'll have will be the drone hub in the globe, in the global market. And so talking about like particularly drone analytics market, so drone is basically two currently. If you look into the commercialization sector, drone have like two different verticals. So it's a drone manufacturing and the drone service market. The service mostly in the drone analytics sector. So India is always a leader in the software and analytics. So we are exporting 100 billion software products to the globe, and so it's as usual. So it's expected that India will be the leader, and we are always already leading the ecosystem, particularly in the drone data analytics. So currently, so it's not about we are only catering to the domestic market. We're actually catering to the global market. And the manufacturing, so somehow we have already started, the journey has already started, and just 5 years down the line we will have a very 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 matured ecosystem. I'll give you some example. So just say in the drone, so basic component is the drone frame. The drone frame is basically made out of carbon fiber and all sorts of composite materials. But if you look into the Indian other industries, so we have already have a very matured composite industries. But those industries are not willing to come to the drone industry because of now the scale is very low. Now the volume is very low, but somehow few of them have actually started exploring it, and when they will get the result, and actually it will motivate other players to come into the picture. And similarly, the motors, the drone, another important part is the drone motors. The drone motors is a very very basic thing. And if you look into the ecosystem in Tamil Nadu, in ecosystem in Rajkot, in Pune, in Baroda, so they have a very matured ecosystem in the BLDC motor itself. All of Indian, most of the like 90% Indian electrical motors, BLDC motors, induction motors are made in India. So we have already the ecosystem. We need some kind of twist in it, and the government will definitely pushing forward. But the industry needs, itself, like they need to act from their side, and they should actually adapt and actually scale it in the drone industry. It's not like only the IG drone or maybe the any drone company will do, because if the drone company will do, they need to again scratch it from zero, and it will take another 20 30 years to get
Hmm.
into that scale. So what I believe, so all other existing industries, they can actually come forward, and they can start manufacturing at a component level. So
Yeah.
that will be the real ecosystem, and that can actually support all those like drone companies like us. And so our goal is not to manufacture the component level, the wires, the batteries, and all those stuffs. Our actually aim is to make more and more efficient drones. If we will get a components at a very matured level and a very at a low cost, definitely we can actually bid whatever our neighbor country. So they are so-called ecosystem in the Shenzhen. What I believe, we have the ecosystem. We just need more and more active players, and just a little bit of handholding from the stakeholders, from the government departments, and then only definitely we can bid the our neighbor country.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, many points from you, Bodhi. I think this is an entire, it's like the roadmap, which I think you have just spelled out for the entire industry in India. And also you picked up on very important points like the impact of training and the need for training, which is industry driven, and the lack of talent, which is very typical of an emerging industry. I have one important point, which I thought I missed in the conversation. See, since it is an emerging sector, many people have this point, okay, things were happening without drones also, now with drones, what is the difference? So maybe, Om, can you tell us what is the difference, let's say for an industry like agriculture or mining or surveying or any of these with drones, what is it that gets enhanced, or what are we getting, what are the benefits? This can be a very layperson
Yes,
kind
yes.
of
Okay.
simplified
Yes,
response.
Bobby. So like as you mentioned about like how drone is changing the way people are earlier doing the inspection or monitoring in the
Yeah.
industry, right? So I will give a typical example of transmission line inspection. Like
Okay.
everybody can understand that. So
Yes.
typical transmission line inspection, it's a manual, like everybody does, it's a manual based job. Like a person climbed on the tower, it's a 40-meter high tower, a person climbed, and then like identify the fault and do the inspection of the tower. And hope you understand, like if a person will climb on a tower, so it's a life risk, right?
Yes.
If and one is the life risk, another one is the quality of inspection and the timeline.
Yeah.
And like a person who is climbing on the tower to do the inspection, his priority will be to do like save his life, not the inspection, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
You're
when
talking about the power sector, right?
power sector,
Yeah.
yes, I'm giving an example of power sector.
Yeah.
So again, like so first thing will be the life risks. Second thing will be the quality of inspection, because it's a personal driven system. Like the quality of inspection is depending on the person. Second thing will be the time, because it's a complete manual based job, and a person can cover maximum 4-5 hours a day. Right? When we introduce drone in the ecosystem, drone in the industry, in the power line inspection, so we can cover the accuracy, the speed is increased like to like 5x, and the accuracy is increased. So the earlier, like the team inspection team is doing 5 day, like let's say 5 hour a day. With drone, the team can cover like 25 hour a day.
Okay.
So the quality of inspection is increased. So it's a complete data-driven process. There is no manual intervention or manual decision-making process. Everything on like authenticated and like documented base. And the most important point is we are saving the life.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
So,
Good
so this
example.
kind of use case.
I think adding to Om's point, and what I so earlier we used to do manual plowing and all. Then the power tiller came, and then the tractor came. So if you oppose it, like why we need the tractor? So we are like very comfortable, manual plowing and all. So
Yeah.
it's just like that.
Right.
So if you are very much comfortable in a manual spraying, and all these fertilizers are actually affecting you, affecting your health, affecting your entire condition. So you cannot actually, when you do the manual spraying on the ground, in that day you cannot actually sleep peacefully because of the all the side effects of the fertilizers and all the pesticides. So it's just like shifting from one traditional technology to a new technology. People will oppose, definitely people will oppose, and but somehow when they see the result on ground, they will definitely accept it. It's just like why we need mobile phones, but now everybody has a mobile phone on
Yes.
our pocket.
Yeah.
So this is just typical example. It's just a typical industry shift from a particular technology to the next level technology. So people will gradually adopt it.
Yeah. Yes, I think this is really a very interesting conversation that we have had till now. I would still, I would still request Mr. Mohapatra to tell us a bit about his perspective. So, how do you see this industry unfolding with these two young guys who are kind of leading so many things at IG Drones. And I'm filled with more enthusiasm now, even though I'm not a technical person. I would call myself a drone enthusiast. Me and my team members coincidentally are very interested in this entire development in this sector. So can you share your view of how the industry would progress? Like we hear about the need for 1 lakh remote pilots in the drone industry, which was mentioned by the minister himself in one of the meetings or one of the panel discussions. So we get to hear a lot of things happening around this industry. So can you share your observations and points? Maybe with that we can close this conversation. And Bodhi and Om, you can perhaps add to what Mr. Mohapatra says.
The two things which Bodhi and Om actually try to drive in is the society.
Hmm.
So I believe that you bring in any sort of technology, you bring in anything, and it is impacting the society, if it is impacting the whole cross-section of population in a much bigger way, that's the technology which will kind of sustain. So it's not sort of a fad, it is going to make an impact to the whole society in a much bigger way. And that's where the whole thing stems from.
Okay.
So when you look at the impact it is going to create in the whole lives of the people. So if you look at, like, as Oma just given an example of a vertical from the power sector,
Yeah.
Bodhi has been very passionate about the the agriculture side. So if you look at each of these verticals, what is it actually impacting? It is actually impacting how we were carrying out a particular job before and how it is now facilitating, and the technology actually helps people and helping the society to get the productivity higher. At the same time, it brings in the dignity of labor. So if you look at the two things, which I'm a big proponent of how technology impacts a society and vice versa, it's a huge match. It's a big match. So any technology which is like going to impact, and this is where, as Bodhi had already told, that we are in 15 verticals. Why are we in 15 verticals? We can have like many more verticals going forward.
Yeah.
Because on each day is a learning for us, and we try to understand how we can again get into that vertical, what more we can do. I think Om was just talking about the power sector, the transmission lines. We do also for bridges, we do also for the railway lines. So you can imagine, like, the things are like quite abound. So it's like a huge spectrum in the society where we can dwell in. So the more we dwell in, I feel the number of, I just heard from you, it is like 1 lakh. I would like to put 2 more zeros there to look at like a crore. And that's what actually should be. That's what it should drive us. And it will be possible, and it is something what we foresee going forward. Because as you use more and more, and in different verticals, in different spectrums, in different levels of the strata of society, is going to impact us in much more, in many different ways. The stakeholders are many. Now there can be a farmer who can get used to it, get the best benefit out of it, but then somebody from his society will be using the drone to probably use the pesticide or use the fertilizer or use the seeds. And I think Bodhi can tell an example. I was very surprised to read from my own district, a very small district in Orissa. They were like now throwing the seeds from the drone to get the cultivation on. And I understand that's a very in thing in many of the countries and states now, but happening in a very small place in Orissa is a game changer.
Right.
So you can imagine, like, if this comes in, it's like a huge game changer. And I am really proud that the two youngsters there who are leading this, leading to change the society. I always look at these are disruptive ones. So when something is in technology, it is disruptive, we can't actually predict because it will spiral and it will go manifold. Because they are the fountainheads of these thought processes, of these ideas. So you need to kindle the fire, and the fire is there. You can see how passionate they are when they speak about the society. when they speak about the dignity of labor that we bring in, when we speak about the verticals we work in. I think that reflects the kind of passion what they bring in and how we impact the society as a whole. And that should be the spectrum we're looking at. It's a massive one. I think it's a big canvas where we can draw or paint ourselves as we go forward.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for sharing your insights. Maybe Om and Bodhi, you can also put in your perspective on the cost of training. I think that's something we missed out, because we understand that it's an emerging industry. Naturally, the cost will be high. But what is your view on this? Maybe you can give some insights on this as well. Yeah.
Definitely. So the cost, what do we always believe the cost should be minimal. So as minimal as possible, because when we are talking about a scale of 1 lakh, as Rashmi sir also said, about in a scale of 1 crores. So we are not just a developed country who can actually just afford 1 lakh, 2 lakhs course curriculum, because we are talking about empowering the ITA students, the school dropouts and all. So we cannot expect that they will pay some course fee of 1 lakh and 2 lakhs. In IG Drone Center of Excellence, we have like very economical model on that. And it's not like it's completely free. So in most of the centers, they in the corporate houses, they actually come forward that they will actually sponsor it, and even the NSDC has somehow sponsored some of the courses. But there are also many other centers, they are actually taking very nominal charges, very nominal, very affordable, so that any students who is actually taking up taking over training, and then just after the training they can actually join a job, and they can actually paid it off. And we're also coming up with a all these student friendly EMI model, so that you can actually take up a course, then you join, and then you pay it back. So all these things are already in place. So we are not. So as I've already mentioned, it's not. We are not actually earning our bread and butter from the training. So what we always vouch for, the free knowledge, free empowering more and more people. This is how the ecosystem will evolve. And I also urge all of my like ecosystem or other like drone companies who are already into this kind of business. So make it as cheap as possible, so that you can actually achieve that scale. So scale is more important here. So because we are a country of 120 crore people, so it's not about 12, 30, 10 people. It's not about 1 lakh, 2 lakh people and 100, 200 people will come. So we are talking about a scale in lakhs and lakh in scale in crores. So once the price will be less, so we can actually achieve that scale. So even I have been actually talking on multiple platforms, even in government and private and all other social platforms. So the price of the drone curriculums, even the drone certification, whatever the government is actually now taking and the proposing, it is not as per the standard of Indian people. It's not as per the standard of Indian youth who can actually really afford it. It should definitely nominal charges, nominal, very nominal. It just should be like just comparable to a driving license. Whatever we are getting in the price we are getting a driving license, that should be the charges. Definitely, it's a new emerging sector, and it needs a lot of costly hardware, softwares, and all. But that can be somehow sponsored from the initially sponsored from the government. The government is pushing so much hard, and it can be sponsored from various CSR activities by the corporates. But somehow the students, they need to pay very less. Then only we can expect actually the mature ecosystem and a very large ecosystem that can serve the globe.
Yeah. So what is the average cost of training right now for a 5-day training program, I think, which is required for a training a pilot?
So it depends in the, if it's a skilling program, so it's somewhere around 20, I think it's a 15-20,000 average in the market. But it's a DGCA certificate and all, I think it ranges up to like 50 to 60,000. But it's a bit higher, I think, and with the course of time, and the more and more number of participant, definitely it's we can actually bring it down. Currently, we are not into DGCA certification and all, because we don't think that is our key focus area. But we believe so. Our whatever expertise we are actually getting from our enterprise business, the real industry experience, will actually upskill all those students with that technology, so that they will be industry ready.
So DGCA certification is not a mandatory thing, is it?
No,
it's not always mandatory, right? It's not. Yeah, maybe a
It's a mandatory thing. So it's actually a very new law, and continuously they are actually, all these drone policies, they are evolving. Even so in the FICI forum last time, so we had a
yeah.
very wonderful discussion with the a skill secretary, and he was also vouching for that. So we need to, reduce all these paperwork, particularly in the DGCA. So now DGCA pilot, if you want to, apply for a DGCA drone pilot license, you need a passport. So tell me how many Indians have passports.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to, when we are actually designing those policies and designing these frameworks, we need to actually see the real picture on the ground. So if you are encouraging the Indian youths, dropouts, school dropouts, ITIs, to start their journey as a drone pilot, in the drone industry, so then definitely you need to account whatever exactly the available systems in the market, in the ecosystem. So there are, I am not saying that the entire regulation is just actually, not supporting anybody. So it's actually very very friendly, one of the, progressive drone law in the entire world. So the law is evolving, and definitely the policymakers are actually taking account of it, and hopefully it will be incorporated, and it will be as per the, Indian, as per the standard of Indian youths.
Thank you. Yeah. To close this conversation, any points from you, Om, to what Bodhi just said?
Yes. So I yes. Thank you. So,
Yeah.
Madhuri, like as you asked about the ecosystem, the policy side, so our policymakers are working hard in terms of global like drone ecosystem, in terms of policy, in terms of regulation. Indian ecosystem is ahead of the entire ecosystem.
Hmm.
So but again, so we'll not talk about like the problem is not only in the policy. The problem is in the ecosystem. We are looking for like more and more like stakeholder and the industry player. They should come to the industry. They
Hmm.
should look this industry as a emerging industry, because every big four are predicting this is the emerging sector for India. And in the to achieve the 3 trillion economy like of India, like what India is targeting. And
Yeah.
I think so. I can say the target is not the three. The target is the five.
Hmm.
Three is achievable.
Okay.
So five. So to target the 5 trillion economy, some sectors like emerging sector like drone and other like AI and other like emerging sector, definitely the focus should be there. So I would like I would like to invite to stakeholders. So they should come and join this industry.
Thank you. Sir, to close this, any observations from you to invite more partners to join the ecosystem through IG drones, because you're the leader, and maybe they can learn from you and get mentored by you. So what do you have to say on this?
No, actually, Madhuri, I thought that we were missing something which I thought I will prompt you.
Yeah.
Like what is the benefit actually the students get? You were asking the cost. I was looking at the benefit they get out of this training program.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the whole conversation, what we missed is how we add value to them.
Yeah.
And how that becomes an aspiration for them. Like us, when Bodhi was talking about, dust and dirt to like drone and dignity. So that when we talk about skilling, many skill centers today are empty.
Okay.
We actually do not have students who actually come for like getting trained or getting skill. This is not so aspirational. That's the bottom line. So it is not a question of like the amount or the cost of getting trained, whether it is any kind of certification, but the critical thing is, are we able to create an aspiration among this youth to come forward and to have a dignity in the work what they do? So that's critical. Right. So once we're able to like sort of propagate this message, make them feel that hey, this is something they can really be proud of, enjoy working here, can look at as a career on its own, then we feel that we have done something together. I think that's critical.
Yes, sir. Thanks for pointing out this very important aspect, which is actually one of the lacunae in the system itself, which I think through drone you can bring back the aspirational value, as you very rightly said, because technology, I think, definitely brings in dignity to that particular job role and work. So thank you all. It's been wonderful. It's been a long conversation, but every minute is worth, listening to again and again, so that everything sinks into us. You have rightly connected the dots. You have told us about the ecosystem. You have told us about the challenges. And Mr. Mohapatra, you have very rightly brought out the need for dignity and dignity of work when it comes to skilling, and how we can utilize the skilling centers and build capacity for an evolving and emerging industry like drones. And of course, Bodhi and Om, I think your entrepreneurial journey should be inspiring every young person in India who has a dream and, like you said, initially it did not work, but you made it work by looking at alternatives. I think that's very, very important. So thank you so much, all of you. Thank you.